Park Part 1. We have a piece of ground to be used as a park. The angle BCD is 22, I can see that. First part of the question says a fence is to be put around the outside of the subdivision and joining B to D through the middle there, should be a straight line of course, to subdivide the land. How much fencing will be needed? So the fencing needs to go 60, 42, 65, 80 plus, we're going to need to find that length down the middle there, let's call it x. Now I think we'll use triangle BCD to find x because I've got two sides and an angle in between, so I can use the cosine rule. Let's try doing that up here. So I can see that x squared will equal 80 squared plus 65 squared minus 2 times 80 times 65 times the cosine of the angle in between. X of course will be, I'll need to square root that answer I get from above. So you could pause and try that on the calculator and just check that you also get 31.3414 metres. Right, so we'll go back over and we'll add that to our diagram now. 31.3414 metres. So to work out the total fencing, around the outside and through the middle, we're going to need to do 60 plus 42 plus 80 plus 65 plus the 31.3414 through the middle, and we get, comes to 278.3414 metres, and you can check that of course on your calculator. You should check that I've done that right. Okay, and the second bullet point says what percentage of the total area does the small section ABD cover? So we need to find the area of both triangles together, that would be the whole section, and then we need to work out what percentage the area of the smaller one is of the total section. So let's start with triangle ABD. And to find that area, of course, I'm going to need an angle, and I'm going to need to know that angle there, and call it theta. I can see I've got three sides and I want that angle there, so I'm going to need to use the cosine rule for angles. So I'll try and squeeze it up the top here. You should set it out on your own paper. So it's going to be cos of the angle is going to equal 60 squared plus 42 squared minus the 31.3414 squared divided by 2 times 60 times 42. We'll need some brackets on our calculator when we work it out. Remembering at the end we're going to have to do inverse cosine of whatever the answer is from that calculation, and then finally do some rounding. And hopefully when you work all that out you end up with 29.6 degrees. So you try it on your calculator, and if you don't get that, perhaps come and check with me, but that should work. Right, so back to the area of triangle ABD, we can work it out now. Half times one side times the other times sine of the angle in between the two sides. And when you work that out, hopefully you come up with 622.3667519 metres squared, and we'll round that later. Right, let's try triangle BCD. the area of that one. Half times, I've got the two sides, 80 times 65 times sine of the angle in between. Angle in degrees for area of a triangle. And working all that out, 973.9771429 metres squared, and once again you should check that. Right, now we can calculate the total area of the park. Obviously we just need to add the two areas together, this number and this number. Once again you should check. Hopefully it's something like 1596.343 metres squared. And so to find out what percentage of the total park the small one covers, it's probably less than half, less than 50% of it. And to do that we put the smaller area, the park that we're interested in, the 622.3, divide it by the total area, because we're comparing the area of the small park with the total area of the park, and times by 100 to make it a percent. When you work that out, hopefully, if we do some rounding, it should end up close enough to 39% to 2 sig fig. You might find 40% depending on your rounding you've used.